we're not all going to die from hantavirus. Just like originally with COVID, and even nowadays, there's a lot of misinformation on social media, and it needs to be corrected. I'm Dr. Mading, pulmonologist and intensivist. The number that you see floating around of like 30 to 40% mortality rate with hantavirus, that's not from any hantavirus infection. That is from something called HCPS, Hantavirus Cardiopulmonary Syndrome, which is a manifestation of hantavirus infection, where you basically go into complete cardiopulmonary collapse. You get capillary leak, you go into like an ARDS sepsis syndrome, and you go into like a shock type state. So the only treatment for that is supportive. There's no medications for hantavirus. You know, most viruses, unfortunately, we don't really have good treatments for just because they mutate and they change so much. But that is not the mortality rate of a hantavirus infection. If you look at, for example, again, just to put numbers into perspective, the wild type Wuhan COVID-19 virus mortality, like the original, the OG, the mortality of the people that went into ARDS was somewhere between 40 and 75%, depending what cohort you look at. Okay, that was the people that went into ARDS. But we know that not everybody who got a COVID infection landed in the hospital. In fact, a bunch of people that got COVID were just home. I mean, me personally, I got it from someone who was really sick, you know, the original, the OG strain, and I just felt like crap for 10 days, and my lower back hurt, and my heart rate would climb up whenever I went up a flight of stairs. That's it. Oh, and I lost all taste, which kind of really sucked because it was around Thanksgiving time. But that was a regular infection. Now, we don't have, you know, it's not really a common disease. It's not something that we test for, especially in the United States, quite frequently. So the likelihood, this is more of a textbook type thing on understanding statistics, is that the majority of the mortality occurs in the people who get the worst manifestation. So the overall mortality is quite different. So I gave you that example of about 50% mortality rate with COVID ARDS with the original strain. You know what the overall infection to mortality is for COVID? It's somewhere in like the 0.6, 0.7% now that we have a whole lot more data. Now, mind you, that includes all the strains mixed together, not the original strain. I actually don't know if there's a specific one. But again, we weren't diagnosing as many, and we weren't actually getting proper statistics. So if you underdiagnose basically mild or almost asymptomatic disease, then you don't have a good denominator. So then it looks like the mortality rate's really high. So no, we're not all going to die from hantavirus. Is it scary? I mean, a little bit, yeah. I think everyone's a little bit, you know, scared after COVID happened. But no, we're not. It's not actually 40 to 50% mortality, or 30 to 40%, which I see touting around on the interwebs. To give you an example, there's also another it's like a renal type disorder that happens with like the old world hantaviruses. That also has a sky high mortality rate. But again, those are the people that are already usually so sick that they're in the ICU and you're dealing with the manifestations. So it's not the overall